On top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good day, welcome to your news at noon on Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith. Let's get to the news in detail. The Caribbean Court of Justice on Friday overturned the conviction and 4 to 5 year prison sentence of murdered teenager Nisa Gopal's stepfather, Jarvis Small, calling the evidence preferred against him in the lower courts greatly prejudiced. This means that Small is freed of the 2010 murder, some 8 years after he was found guilty of the crime. The court, however, upheld the guilty verdict but reduced further the 4 to 5 year sentence for the girl's mother, 50-year-old Bibi Sharima Gopal, called Nari to 30 years, ordering that she will be eligible for parole not before 15 years. The role Guyana plays in monitoring spending in the capital-intensive oil industry here comes after the oil companies would have expended large sums of money in the development of the oil fields, after which Guyana is handed the bills to scrutinize. This is according to Jagdeo when he explained that it is for this very reason that the country is working on building capacity in the area of cost audit and verification. The Vice President explained that the arrangement it currently has with ExxonMobil and partners to develop the country's oil endowment does not afford the nation a co-management position, which would allow the country insights into the company's spending to ensure beforehand that Guyana is not being given bills with inflated costs for goods and services needed within the sector. And Vice President Jagdeo believes it is common sense for the total cost of the gas to energy to be decided on before any insurance policy is pursued, even though he has calculated the final viability of the project in the absence of that very final cost. When asked if the government is also considering any of the risks in its analysis of the project and conclusion that it will be viable, he acknowledged that while the possibility of an explosion exists, it simply does not change the commercial viability of the multi-billion US dollar project. Meanwhile, experts have argued that a gas leak management plan should be inserted into the developer's environmental impact assessment. However, Exxon has already filed that study with the EPA without addressing this risk. And as government authorities continue to iron out a number of variables for the nation's first oil blocks auction now slated for year-end, Vice President Jagdeo said he is not opposed to locals being part of the process. Dr. Jagdeo said the involvement of locals is a very important point for the state to consider. Additionally, Jagdeo made it clear that 3 businessmen will not be allowed to tarnish his government's reputation. One of the names he publicly mentioned was Azruddin Mohammed, a businessman who came under the spotlight earlier this month after a detective, Police Sergeant Dion Bascom, made accusations that he was involved in the murder of Ricardo Fagundes, better known as Paper Shorts, on March 21, 2021. Bascom had also accused the businessman of being involved in an alleged police cover-up of the matter. Mohammed has since publicly denied the allegations and has said that Paper Shorts was his friend and he would never want to harm him. The businessman has since threatened to sue Bascom millions for defamation of character. Let's turn our attention to what the local content legislation requires of foreign companies with respect to their procurement rules. To ensure fair and equal treatment in the tendering process, the law states that contracting companies and their subcontractors must ensure the rules governing the bid process are fair and transparent. They must also be clearly articulated in their request for proposals or request for quotation. The legislation also preserves the right of Guyanese companies to bid clarifications. The law states that in all cases, responses to queries or feedback, updates and clarifications shall be communicated to all bidders in a bulletin at the same time. And I'll tell you, air bridges valued at $2 million for the Chetty Jagan International Airport have arrived and are expected to be installed sometime next month. CJIA's Public Relations Officer Shunza Samuels shared this development with DPI. It was in September 2021 when the Ministry of Public Works awarded a contract for $2 million to a local company, Total Solutions, for the supply of 2 additional air bridges for the airport. And on Friday, relatives of Ricardo Fagundes, better known as Paper Shorts, protested in front of the Criminal Investigations Department, calling for justice. Fagundes was gunned down in 2021, moments after stepping out of a popular bar on Main Street. Among those who protested was Fagundes' mother. She told reporters that she believes the recent claims made by Police Sergeant Dion Bascom about the suspects involved and wants police to arrest them. The protesters also protested against the alleged police corruption to cover up key evidence pertaining to the murder. With the time now moving on to 12 hours 8 in Ghana, we wrap things up with the page 7 of today's Kaieteur News. Whose report will you believe? The Guyana Police Force will find it difficult to convince anyone, including the government, that the allegations of collusion between the killers of businessman Ricardo Paper Shorts Fagundes and the force are not true. Suffice to say that there have been fierce rebuttals on all sides. For this year alone, there have been several cases when the police came out publicly to deny specific allegations, and following investigations, the force was found to be lying. The most recent case was with Quindon Bacchus. The initial statements by the police alleged that Mr. Bacchus fired at them and that he was caught in a sting operation. An investigation by the Police Complaints Authority proved this to be untrue, and several ranks were charged with the killing of Bacchus. Then there was the Orrin Boston killing. The police first statement was that Boston fired at them during a raid on his house. A subsequent investigation found that Boston was in his bed when he was shot dead in cold blood. Then 34-year-old Kevin Andres was shot by the police during what they described as an exchange of gunfire, but the evidence, or lack thereof, tells a different story. In fact, the force admitted that no gun was recovered from the scene. What then did Mr. Andres use to shoot at police ranks? Now, Detective Sergeant Dion Bascom has made some claims of corruption, and the police have denied these allegations, given the most recent track record of the Ghana Police Force. Whose report will you believe? And that brings us to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's Newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
Heard you got a couple $1 million for me. Summer's gonna be crazy. It's easy like 1, 2, 3. Can't believe all this money for me, money for me. I got to get the CASH. That's the code for the vault, so let's play. Top up with 1,000 and the next day you could be a millionaire. Did you sell?
More than 15 million to grab this summer. Top up with $1,000 or more to collect the letters to spell CASH.
For a chance to catch millions in the Digicel's cash vault.
Top up today.
Did you sell?